As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 32 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett, and I am here as always with my co-host Andy, who this week is Mr. PB.
Yeah, such a good feeling. It's been 18 months waiting, pretty much 18 months waiting to try and get a PB. And smashed it. So yeah, feeling good. Feeling really
Amazing.
good.
Yeah, how's it been going this week? What have you been up to?
The running side of things have been going well. Money side of things, not so well. I tell you what, I'm thinking of retraining. I don't think this even requires much training, to be honest. As a locksmith. Got a locksmith round the other day.
Yeah.
I could not believe what the 5 minutes of interaction I had with this tradesman. So we've got we didn't know if it was a broken door or a broken lock. It was, you could lock the door, but you had to faff to get the key out. So we thought, right, we need to sort this out. Phoned this guy, top rated on Google, came round, turned up, rude straight away. I was like, all right, mate. And he's literally on the phone. And I was halfway through saying what the problem was. And he took another call, booked another job in whilst I was there. He turned up in a Tesla with a private number plate that was 007 KEY. And it had branded locksmith on the Tesla. He was there. He just got his drill out, took the lock out. He said, "Oh, that's your problem, mate. It's got this and that and the other's wrong with it." I was like, "Oh, right, okay." Went in his Tesla, got exactly the same part, put it back in, and then just waved like an iZettel thing at me. 130 quid. He was here for about, no joke, 3 minutes. And I feel like saying, I didn't know whether to be wowed or just feel like I just had my pants taken down in the middle of the street. Absolute. But the thing is, if you've got a skill in life, charge for it, because I couldn't do that. Or actually, watching him, I probably could do that now.
But it's knowing which bit has gone wrong and which bit you need to replace and all that sort of stuff. It's like that old adage of the old guy that gets called out to fix a ship that no one can get working, and he pulls out a little hammer, taps it in one place, and it all starts working, and charges them loads. And they're like, "But you were there. You only tapped it with a hammer." And he went, "Yeah, but I knew how hard and where to hit it with that hammer."
Experience is everything in this game, isn't it? In that game. But yeah, it just made me a little bit sick, but I was also kind of in awe of this guy. And absolutely crazy that he had this like credit card terminal. Do you know what I mean? I was like, mate, you're a locksmith. I thought you dealt in cash and you but he's a complete business model. Couldn't believe it. I was very impressed. But I saved a little bit of money last Saturday as well by not spending 800 quid on Oasis tickets.
Yes.
As it sounds like a lot of other people have. I
didn't save any money because I didn't even try.
Because you're not bothered at all. But the thing is, like, I've thought about this and I've thought, well, because they've added 2 more dates, and apparently your chances of getting into the London Marathon are probably better than getting these tickets, because apparently there's 10 million people going for, well, that would be about 160,000 tickets, like 2 Wembley gigs.
Wow.
And apparently it's just like no chance. But I think the big thing that everyone was talking about this week was Ticketmaster and those
those
websites. Yeah. Do you watch Justin Hawkins, the guy from The Darkness? Do you watch his YouTube channel?
Yeah.
So he was talking
right again.
Yeah, absolute hero. And he was talking about this, saying that as demand creeps up, the Ticketmaster bot juggernaut kind of realizes that there's so much demand, so it starts upping the price. And apparently people were paying up to 400 quid for a standing ticket.
Yeah.
And the irony is about all this is that the band have said we will not accept any bogus tickets or any tickets from any touts or anything like that. It's all face value tickets. But you'd pay twice as much as you would outside the stadium.
Yeah.
On like in Ticketmaster.
And I saw online it's come back to bite Liam Gallagher, because a few years back, about 5 years back, he tweeted out how expensive Noel Gallagher's Flying Birds tickets were, and said 400 quid to go and see our kid. You must be joking. Have a word with yourself. And now people are having to pay that to go and see him.
It hasn't helped them because they haven't made a statement, either of them, have they? And then there's the whole thing, like, you think, well, if you were lucky enough to get tickets, A, what about if they break up before you get to go and see them? Are they going to refund you? And B, imagine if you go and see them and the atmosphere is just so stale between them. And you don't get, all you're getting is a bit of a jukebox sort of sing-along, which a lot of people would, that's all they want. But what about if the whole gig has got like a real frosty nature to it? And that's the last time you'll ever see Oasis, if you know what I mean, compared to when you saw them 10, 20 years ago in the real. But anyway, I'm just being salty because I didn't get tickets.
You don't need to go and see them anyway.
No, I've seen them twice. That's enough for me. So 800 quid saved.
They were overrated 20 years ago, let alone
now. No, let's not say silly things. Let's not say
I'm talking the truth, mate. I'm not saying anything silly. I'm talking the truth.
Greatest band ever. Absolute. Some of the best moments of my life listening to Oasis tunes. I genuinely considered, when I ran Manchester, running it as Liam G. Getting a Parker on, but running how he runs, you know, how he walks.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Imagine the load that would put on you. So, that'd be quite interesting. Might get a world record. But we've got quite a lot to get through today, haven't we?
Yeah.
On today's podcast. So some of the things we wanted to chat about. Obviously, me and Brett did Bushy Parkrun last week, which was pretty mega.
Mm-hmm.
We've both had a good week of training as well. Well, speaking for myself, I don't know if you've managed. We'll hear whether you've managed to stay injury free or how bad it's been. We wanted to mention about. So we've had some emails and comments that we'll get through as well. We also wanted to chat about. I bought a new drone.
Oh yes, you have.
So
have you had it yet? Have you got it yet?
So I literally bought it impulsively last night. So I got an email landed in my inbox, and they've released a new drone. It's like a follow me drone, sort of basically a AI. And from the point of view, it's very self-indulgent, because it's basically going to be just the only purpose it will serve is for my B-roll for my videos. And maybe I'll be one of those, what's the word, philosophical people on Instagram that post a picture of themselves running with some quotes that appear over the top, or I'll do an arrow that says read caption or something like that. How to get faster over 10K. Answers in caption. It's just me running, just getting filmed. So I'm excited to have a play with that, which will be pretty cool. Hopefully that will just be a bit of a fun toy to play with. We've got the Strava segment to talk about as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
At the end.
Yes.
So we've got a lot to talk about, really.
Yes. Before we do, though, I've got to tell you about my day, which I have had a day today. So I booked in with Nat up at Tardybig to have a sports massage this morning.
Yeah.
and got everything ready so I could go and do that and then go into my shop and get some work done. Put everything in my car, jumped in my car and turned the key, and the starter motor was going, but the engine just didn't want to kick into life. So it was going, weren't starting up. And I thought, that's a bit odd. Why won't my car start? So tried it again and didn't want to start. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a couple of seconds, let it rest for a minute, and then I'll try again. So sat there and then thought, right, now it's time to go again. So turn the key, put my foot on the accelerator, and it went, and then it just went, oh, bang! And I went, what the hell has just happened there? And it was the loudest bang I have ever heard. It was ridiculous. Proper shook me up. And I just sat there for a minute going, I don't know what's happened here. I'm not sure. And my engine was running, but my car sounded a bit like a tractor. And I was like, what is going on here? I haven't got a clue what's going on. So I turned my car off, got out and started having a look around my car, and I couldn't see anything wrong. And I thought, well, I've recently put a new exhaust on. So like 2 weeks ago, put a whole new exhaust on. So bent down to look under my car, and we think some excess fuel has made its way into the back box on the exhaust and ignited inside the back box, and it's basically gone off like a bomb.
Oh my God.
And let me show you a photo of what it looked like on the car.
Oh my flipping word. That's mental. It's just completely ripped it in half.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've got it off to see if we could try and repair it. That's it on the bench at our workshop.
Wow. Oh my God, you must have absolutely shited yourself. With that, like, no, when that was like a bomb, basically.
Yeah. So basically, it was an enclosed space. Some petrol's been ignited inside, and it's just tried to find its quickest way out, which is through the seam down the side of the exhaust, and it's just ripped it apart.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that shook me up a little bit this morning. So I just had to I messaged Nat and went, my car's just shat itself. I might be a bit longer.
And so have I.
So yeah, so I had to postpone that and go up a bit later. So yeah, so then I had my sports massage, but then yeah, sports massage, had that, and then went into my shop and did some work. And because I'd been sat down at the computer for a couple of hours, when I stood up, man, it felt like a bus had hit me after Nat had got her elbows and her hands into all my glutes and my hamstrings and everything. But yeah, it's been an interesting day.
Wow. So what was the did you tell Nat where your sort of problem areas were, or could she just tell straight away? Or
well, yeah, she always asks where it's like bad, but as soon as she like started, she was like, yeah, you're completely tight round this side, all in your hamstrings, all in your glute, your adductors really tight, your quads are tight, just everything. So
yeah. So hopefully tomorrow morning you'll wake up.
And be a little bit looser. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Oh, we've got another thing that we forgot to talk about as well, which is your race.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So do you want to talk about things sort of chronologically, like in terms of like from last week, or shall I start with the Great North Run first, or shall we start with Bushy?
Which would you prefer to talk about? Would you prefer to talk about what's coming up or your achievement?
Yeah, we'll go with the Great North Run first. We'll get that just in case anyone is listening to this and it's Saturday night or Sunday morning.
Yes.
And we haven't left this at the end of a 2-hour podcast. It's the Great North Run on Sunday. So at the time of recording this, it's Friday the 6th of September. So on the 8th, it's the world famous arguably the world's greatest and biggest, not biggest in terms of, well, no, I think it is the biggest in terms of mass participation. But there'll be about 60,000 runners on the streets of Newcastle, and it's a point-to-point race. If you don't know about it, it's just, I've done it twice, and it is just magical. I've never been to something like Glastonbury, but I imagine it's the closest you can get to like a massive festival of running. It's just, I imagine it's very similar to London Marathon. It's just got the most positive outpouring of human spirit. It's just an amazing, amazing place. Like, for example, it won't be this time last year or on the Sunday before the start, Laura and I did it together, and we just dropped into the local Wetherspoons. We went in there at 7:30. We thought we'd be the first ones in. Well, we went in there about 8, so it'd been open half an hour. There was already loads of running clubs that had met up there, and they're all having like a full English, and all of them were having a beer. Like, it's totally normal to just treat the Great North Run as just a real, just do it in the whatever way you want to do it. So whilst we're on that,
a full English before you run a half marathon, I'm not sure about that.
I know a Wetherspoon's full English as well. So there are Portaloos en route.
So it's all been microwaved. It hasn't even been cooked.
Yeah. So I might just stick to the I might have some toast if I can trust the toast. But I'm going to be meeting a couple of other runners up there. So if anyone is listening to this and they're on their way to the Great North Run, and you want to just have a chat to someone before you start, and you're a little bit sort of nervous and you don't really know what to do with yourself, then come to that Wetherspoons, because that is exactly where we're meeting.
Hobnobbing with the stars, yeah.
Hobnobbing with the stars, yeah. So it's called the Five Swans, and that's all I know about it. I haven't got any idea whereabouts it is, but it's in Newcastle city centre. It's really close to Exhibition Park, which is one of the main gateways to get into the big start line. So come and meet us there. We're going to be there from 8:30 a.m. and I'm meeting up with 2 other YouTubers.
Oh,
technically 3, because one of them is a couple. So Kaylee and Chris from Those Two Runners will be there, as well as Freddie Runs as well. So we've all said, let's sort of all just meet up, and then we can all see if we can get as many people as we can together. And just maybe we'll just do an eating challenge. It might turn into that. That might be the that might be the aim of the game on Sunday. Just who can eat the most and run the fastest. So yeah, come and meet us if you fancy a chat, and should be good fun. But then the actual race itself has slightly changed in terms of the start, so I'll have to reread the event guide.
Okay,
but it's only the access to get into the pens. I think that's how they've done it, because.
Oh, so the actual start line hasn't changed?
No, as far as I know, the route is exactly the same. I think it's just access to get people into the start lines. Because if I can just sort of give you like a mental picture of how it looks, imagine a dual carriageway. That's the start line on both sides of the dual carriageway. I'm pretty sure it's both sides, or it's at least one side. You can stand on a bridge and look into the distance and see the start line. And on that bridge, you would probably be about a quarter of the way in of the masses, if you know what I mean. The line goes so far back. Like, you should be prepared, if you've not done the Great North Run, to walk 3 mile before you've even thought about doing a warm-up. Like, there's so much walking, and there's so much. It's a very, very exhausting day. As well, and that's even if you can get out of South Shields as well in one piece, because that's another exhausting thing on its own. And then in the middle of that, you've got to do the half marathon. So once you've got on the start line, you've got the first 5K, which is quite a friendly first 5K. Actually, it's largely downhill, and that you go past some really good landmarks, including the Tyne Bridge, which is probably Newcastle's equivalent of Tower Bridge running a London Marathon.
Yeah.
The noise of that is just phenomenal. And I'm hoping, because I've never done this, because the first time I did it was the only time I went for a decent time. Because last year Laura and I ran it together. But on the first year, it was the day after, or a couple of days after the Queen's death. So the whole event was a little bit more downplayed. So we didn't get things like the red arrows. We didn't get some other things. So the hope for me would be on the Tyne Bridge within that first 5K and the red arrows coming overhead. That would be an amazing thing ticked off. And then in between, what else is quite cool as well? You go past the Gateshead International Stadium, which apparently is a world famous athletic stadium. That's after 3 mile. And then there is a fairly tricky section to get up to about 6 or 7 miles, which I think they call it the Black Bull, which is like a pub that's no longer there, but it's known as the Black Bull. I think it's the Black Bull. That's the highest point on the course. From then it drops down a little bit. And then later on in the course, around about 8 or 9 miles, you start arguably the most legendary part of the Great North Run, which is the John Reed Road. Now, this is one of the areas that people have told me is just so much fun. And the John Reed Road later turns into another road called Prince Edward Road. I think it's not. It can't be Prince Andrew Road, can it? I'm pretty sure it's Prince. They definitely would have changed it by now. I'm pretty sure it's Prince Edward Road, and that's at about 11 miles. And from the section from about 8 miles to 11, it's a bit of an incline. It is quite a tricky section, but that is where you'll find Elvis. There's every year Elvis is on the side of the road entertaining the troops as we go past. So hopefully I'll manage to get him doing Hound Dog or Jailhouse Rock or something. This is all famously as well where I missed that. Sorry, that's good. Brett Elesmore has left the building, and this is where famously everyone gives you beer. So there is literally breweries that have set themselves up on the sides of the road that will literally give you a cup of beer, which is pretty cool. People will literally give you the rest of their can of Stella. It's just a legendary part. It's so much fun, the John Reed Road. And then there's the Prince Edward Road as well, which is it Prince William? I can't remember. It's Prince one of them, but it's definitely not Prince Andrew Road. I'm pretty sure it's Prince Edward Road. And at the top of that, you get to about 11.5 miles, and then you literally see the sea in the distance in front of you, and it is the most beautiful feeling because then you know it is steep downhill and then
I was going to say,
along the sea.
There's a proper steep downhill bit at the end, isn't there? Yeah,
and it's only about 200 meters long, but the grade is really, really quite sheer. And the best advice that they say is to not go too hard down that hill because you've got a hard 90-degree left at the bottom of that hill. And by now as well, people are getting tired and they're doing downhills differently to you. So the last thing you want is an ankle sprain here. So
because whenever I've watched it on TV, there's always hay bales at the bottom of that hill as well. Number one for the wheelchairs, but also for people who aren't quite
I'll film
on their feet.
I'll film the hay bales for you and see if I crash into them. And then you take a hard left then, and then it's just along the I guess the promenade really, or along the flat seafront to the finish. And you get to 13.09 miles. And then what you do is you take a right turn, and it's here where the marshals will direct you into a relevant funnel. Because we thought the bushy funneling for Parkrun last week was good. But the funneling for the Great North Run is crazy. It's so good because what they'll do is they literally close and open different finish lines. As just to get traffic out, to get the finish line clear.
Because only the mega quick people actually go over the normal finish line on the road, don't they?
That's right. Yeah, for the elites, really. So I imagine if you're running slower than 105, maybe not even that. I mean, what would the winner do in about 58, maybe 59?
Yeah, probably 59, 60. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what they do is they change. They stop the elite finish, and then everybody has to go through the mere mortal finish line. And this is where you get your medal and your T-shirt and your goodie bag and stuff like that. But then you walk through the event village, and that's it. Job done. But then it's not quite job done because then you've got to get out of South Shields. Now, South Shields is like the size of, I don't know, it's probably somewhere in between Redditch and Worcester. So it's not a city, but it's a big town. but it's the sort of town that probably doesn't, 60,000 people plus, their families. So 100 and 200,000 people in this little town. As you can imagine, it comes to a standstill. So my plan is I'm going to get out of Dodge ASAP, Rocky. I'm going to just finish. I'm going to get through. I'm going to run, get my medal, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to head south because I'm meeting Laura at a new sort of point that we've never met before. And I'm going to try that. So I'm going to run back against the runners and run south towards Sunderland along the beach. And that's hopefully where, and I'm in the process, hopefully going to get some extra miles in so I can get my mileage up. But yeah, so that's pretty much how the Great North Run is. It's amazing. Hard. It's about 150, as a guess, it's about 150 to 200 meters of elevation. It's not a flat course. There's a lot of climbs in there, but I think it's net downhill,
Yes, I think it is. Yeah.
So there are technically more downs than there are ups, and you might feel that in your legs the day after. You might really feel those quads, especially from that one at 12 mile or 11.5 mile. Let alone the half marathon you've just run. So it's not a fast course, mainly because of the amount of people that are on it with you. And, there's people dressed as literally the Tyne Bridge running. That literally last year there were 8 of them or 4 of them, or maybe it was just 2, I can't remember. But literally as a model, a little model, scaled model of the Tyne Bridge. And there's all sorts of things. That was another guy ran past me last year dressed as a Spitfire. He literally had wings. That must have been a nightmare trying to get people out of the way for 2 hours. But yeah, the whole day is just glorious. Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. And it is one that I think everyone should have a go at.
Yeah,
if you love racing.
It's one I would love to do. But you sneaked your way in, didn't you? Because loads of us entered the ballot and we all got a sorry, not this year. But you sneaked your way in this year, didn't you?
Well, once you've done it once, you get the opportunity. You only get, I didn't realize this because I didn't take it on the first year. Because I thought, I'll do it next week. You only get a couple of days to do this, but they offer you a membership, which you have to pay for, but you're guaranteed entry for 3 years. And it's about 80 or 90 quid, I think. And you're guaranteed entry for 3 years. And you might get a few other VIP perks, which I'm not aware of if you do. But the main thing is you don't have to do the ballot. You don't have to do a charity entry. You're in. You obviously have to pay each year. So you still got to pay your fee, which is 50 odd quid. I can't remember what it is. And, but the main thing is you just don't have to, technically, once you've done it once, if you want to, you could do it every year for the rest of your life, which I think might be my intention, I like it. I like the race that much. And the 2 times I've done it before, I've had such positive and good experiences. I did it I did 145 the first year, 145 high. And at the time it wasn't a PB, but it's one of those races where I shocked myself because I was just running with the tidal wave of runners. And I got to the finish and thought, I haven't even looked at my watch and I still feel great. I've been chatting the whole way. I've been vlogging. I've been just enjoying the atmosphere, was singing along to the band that were playing Mr. Brightside. Honestly, it's just an amazing race. And I remember just getting through on pure adrenaline. Last year, Laura and I did it. I think we did it in just under or just over 3 hours. I can't remember what that was. That was a completely different experience. But again, really, really positive experience. And so this year, I'm hoping to get a course PB.
Ooh, okay. So, yeah, this race for you, it's not your target race, is it? Because that's next Sunday. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we've both got Worcester City Runs half marathon, which is my hometown half. Yes. So that'll be a PB race, hopefully, for me.
Yeah.
So and you were telling me that last week, weren't you? Basically, because I said that I wanted to run the Great North Run at marathon pace in week 4 of training, having done no marathon pace workout. And I haven't done more than like a couple of Ks at marathon pace. And you were basically saying,
and the week before your target race to try and go all out. Yeah.
So you kind of made me realize that, maybe going for a 140 with all those hills and all those people dressed as Spitfires might not be the best shout. So what I'm going to do is just pull it back slightly. and go for what I call Newport pace, because 8-minute miles, 5-minute Ks brings you in at 1:45 for the half marathon. And that's exactly what I'm going to try and do. So it'll be somewhere in between tempo and steady. So it'd still be a fairly hardish effort.
Yeah, and there's nothing stopping you from dropping a few miles in with the marathon pace. So just having like a few effort miles, because that's where you should be probably in your marathon training now. Now you're 4 weeks in, you should probably be dropping 1 or 2 miles into those long runs just to get an idea of it. So yeah, why not on some of those miles? You might want to just pick up the pace slightly.
Yeah. So if you see my Strava on Sunday and you look at it, and I've gone sub 8-minute miles or if I've gone sub 7:45s or sub 4:45s, then I've gone too fast.
Yeah,
I've got too carried away. But yeah, like you say, I could drop a few in towards the end or in the middle, for example. And I haven't even thought about shoe choice, because I'm just treating it as like a training run, really. So
yeah,
there's 2 or 3 shoes I could choose from. I'll probably go with my Vaporflies because I do quite like those at a comfortable tempo speed. I don't like wearing them for much faster stuff than track. So, doing it 800 meters at a time, because I've tried them with 5Ks lately, and they just feel like they've lost their. I don't know if they ever have really been a 5K PB shoe for most people, but I feel like they've just lost their attack a little bit. They've lost their something what the Takumis give you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They make you just hold back slightly. That's how I feel.
How many miles have you done in those Vaporflies now?
A fair few, probably not far off 400. I think I've done about 700 kilometers. So yeah, I'd say that's probably about 360 miles, 400 mile-ish, something like that. Maybe more.
They're getting towards the end of their life anyway.
Yeah. Well, how long would you give your super shoe? I know you're Adidas, obviously, so that you probably get maybe more bang for your buck. But how many? Is it 500 miles or?
I tend to take all of my shoes to 500 miles, but for racing in, I wouldn't race in them after, I don't know, 250 miles.
Really?
I wouldn't race in them after that. I'd use them for training and training miles, but I wouldn't use them for racing.
Yeah. I mean, you said that to me last week at Bushy, didn't you? Because I didn't. I talked myself out of a PB before we'd even left Worcester, and I was like, right, I think I'll just wear last year's Takumi Sens, the black ones that I've had. And you're like, well, haven't you done like 300 mile in them? I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, haven't you just bought some last week that you've done 5 miles in? Why do you wear them? I was like, yeah, all right then. I didn't really want to get them dirty, but yeah, go on then. And then end up getting a PB.
Yeah, exactly. Because what was I going to say? With your Vaporflies as well, you've got to remember they've probably got about 10 miles of walking in as well when you forgot to take your other shoes to Alton Towers.
Yeah, because I remember turning up and thought, I've just driven here in my blooming sliders, haven't I? My flip flops.
Yeah.
Oh God, I've got to go on Oblivion in my sliders. Sorry, I've just brought the theme park to a standstill because there's a flip flop stuck in Nemesis, stuck in the track. So yeah, I've put an extra 10 mile in there.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So it's not a target race, but it's still going to have some effort there. It's not going to be easy all the way through and just jog it. It's going to be be a decent pace.
I mean, this might all not even happen because I remember thinking, when we did Birmingham, excuse me, so I just done Newport. I think I ended up with a 142 something that day. And that felt harder than, I know I'd done a marathon the week before, but that felt harder than the marathon. And I think sometimes I need to wind my neck in a bit because I almost expect running to pay me back every time. I think when I get my fast shoes on, I think, oh, yeah. I can say these numbers and think, yeah, I could do a 139 easy today. And then end up getting a 147 at Warwick, when I needed was a PB, almost a PB run, race that was, and it's the same. It's like I don't know how Sunday's going to go really, because technically I don't deserve to run well because I haven't done a lot of long run marathon pace tempo stuff at long run.
No, but length. You have been running. You have been doing stuff faster than half marathon pace. So you've got the effort there in your legs. It's the endurance now, but you've got that endurance in your legs from doing all of the mileage that you've done in the past few months.
Yeah.
So hopefully the two will work together. And
but the magic number for me will hopefully be 144. 144.59 is what I really want. 143 and faster is probably a little bit too fast. But I'm just going to run on feel. If it feels good, then yes, I might go towards those low 140s. But if it doesn't, then I won't push it.
What is a 144.59 in pace wise?
It's basically 8-minute miles.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, because 5-minute kilometers. Because I ran my first ever when at Stafford half marathon for any of the OG It's on Andy or Running with Andy fans might remember. I'd just come back from my honeymoon in Ireland and I was like, oh, I've got a race. I forgot about that before Brighton Marathon. And I turned up and ran a massive, like 20-minute PB because I started out too fast and I just kept going. And I started out at 5-minute kilometers, which is 8-minute miles. And I ended up holding on and getting in exactly at 1:45 and a few seconds.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly 8-minute miles on the dot is 1:44.53.
Oh, okay. So yeah, 4:58 then for me is what I'll probably aim for.
Yeah.
There is this.
So in kilometers, that is a 1:44.47 is 4:58.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what I'll aim for. I'll try and pace it somewhere close to 5s or 4:55s, but we'll see. There are paces there, but I don't like to run in pacing groups. Yeah, as good as they are, and as good as it is for the cadence and for the turnover and for the people sharing the effort and all that, it's just too busy. If it was if it was just your group running through the streets of Newcastle and not 60,000 others, absolutely fine. But when you've got to plow through others and people are plowing through your big group, if you're not swarming around the Queen Bee pacer, you'll just drift away and you'll just waste too much effort trying to keep up with the pack. So
that was one of the worst things about Manchester Marathon, was trying to get around the 3-hour group because there was so many of them. You had to properly go to the far side of the course to get round them. It was mental.
Yeah, so I'm going to probably stay ahead of the pacer, but I'll see what because I think if you start, what I like to do is start behind a pacer, so I know if I overtake them, I'm going to beat them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I like to let them go over the line before me. So I'll probably see the flag and let them go off ahead of me. Hopefully get past them in the first 5K and keep them behind me. That's probably what I'll do. And just try and run 1:44 pace, something like that. So yeah, I think that's how Sunday's going to go. Should be a good day out. Weather forecast looks humid, but nothing like last year in terms of the monsoon and the hard, harsh sunshine. But yeah, I think the day's going to be a good one. So excited for it.
Amazing. Yeah, it's one that's on my bucket list for running. So I'll enter the ballot again next year, and fingers crossed, and we'll see.
I wonder what your experience would be like up the front. It might be even better, because if you can, finish in that top 2%, you might not have, well, you might, I don't know. You might still have the issues of getting around people who are, because sometimes they put like the celebrities in the front pen, don't they, with the elites, or sometimes they put like I don't know who they'd put in the right up the front. I'm sure there would be obstacles to avoid, but you could have a really good experience, because it's such if you thrive off the energy of the crowd and the urban streets with people lining the streets, then the Great North Run is for you, definitely. But if you prefer trails and country bumpkin kind of life, and races where you just see a couple of clusters of people going, little golf claps, then the Great North Run probably isn't for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, oops, daisy. Yeah. So bring it on. I can't wait.
Excellent.
Well, why don't we? I was going to say, why don't we talk about your race? Because obviously I've been nattering on for half an hour now, but you raced on Sunday, didn't you?
I did. So after we went down to Bushy on Saturday, well, we'll talk about it in a bit, but we went off on a warm down, and whilst we were doing the warm down, I thought I'll try and do a few little efforts just to check my legs are ready for Sunday, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So then on Sunday, it was the Vets League final. And when I got there, we got the numbers and stuff, and I noticed we had B numbers. So we were in the B final, and I thought that's a bit odd. So I spoke to Martin, who organises the team, and I was like, I'm sure we did pretty well in our league. And he went, yeah, we were supposed to be in the A final, but our ladies team didn't get declared, just slightly missed the deadline for declaring a team for the ladies. And because we only had a men's team, they put us in the B final instead of the A final.
Oh, wow.
Which was a bit annoying, but never mind. So we only had a men's team, which meant that only half of our we only scored half of the points that we possibly could have, because we didn't have a full men's and ladies team. But anyway, got there nice and early because I gave Luke a lift, and his race was a lot earlier than mine. So got there nice and early, and then about 45 minutes before my race, I thought I'll go and warm up now. So got my shoes on and went off for a nice warm-up jog. Did about 2 miles, and then did some strides just to finish off. And then went and got ready, got my numbers on my vest, got my vest on, got my half tights on, got my spikes on, got ready for the race. And there was then about 20 minutes before the race, so started doing some drills and stuff just to get loosened up. And recently, for the shorter races, I've started trying out some new stuff. So the Voom bars that are the orange flavour, they've got caffeine and guarana in them, but they've also got something called beta-alanine in there.
Oh, is that the stuff you gave me? On Saturday morning?
No, that was just a pink grapefruit caffeine one.
Oh, yeah. That was an acquired taste as well. Let's just say that.
Yeah. But no, so these are the orange ones. So they've got caffeine, guarana, and beta-alanine in them.
Right.
But in my carb drink, which I also had, I also put some more beta-alanine in that, because you can have 4 grams of beta-alanine as a serving. But in the Voom bar, there's only 1 gram.
Okay.
And basically, beta-alanine is one of the things that goes in pre-workout. So in pre-workout, you've got a mixture of stuff. One of them is caffeine, and another one is beta-alanine. And beta-alanine is a lactic acid buffer. So it allows your body to handle lactic acid a bit better.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes to go, I finished drinking my carb drink that had got this beta-alanine in. Took my Voom bar that had got caffeine and guarana in as well. And I was like, right, I'm all ready for this. Went round to the start, and they went, right, all of the A racers, we're putting you all in one race, and then we're putting all the B racers in another race. And there was 2 different age groups. There was an over 35s race and an over 60s race. And what it was supposed to be on the lineup that I'd got, it was supposed to be over 35s A and over 35s B in one race, and then over 60s A and over 60s B in one race. But to make it easier for them to work out the A and B runners, they decided to put the A 35s and 60s in one race, and the B 35s and 60s in another race. So when I got there, I was already not shaking, but like buzzing because I'd had loads of caffeine and this beta alanine ready to race. And I'd just done all my drills and warm up and everything. I was all ready to go. And they went, "Oh yeah, your race is in 15 minutes." Like another 15 minutes later. So I was like, "Are you joking?" So I had to wait whilst the A race happened before we even got ready. So like all of us who had got there ready to race were just all like, "Well, this is ridiculous." So that was a bit annoying. So anyway, their race finished and we all lined up, and we set off. And I will show you my. I set my watch up so it would like beep and register on every 400 meters.
Yes,
but because the annoying thing is, because my watch is set to miles and I was on the track, when I set my watch to track every lap, it automatically said 0.25 of a mile, and obviously a 400 meters is 0.24 of a mile.
Right, okay, yeah.
So every lap I was going round, it was beeping later and later when I went past the 400 line. But
yeah,
it's all right, it's all good. But set off, ran the first lap, and then settled into a pace. And I settled in and actually ran the next 6 laps pretty even and pretty good. But as always, there is a guy at the start line. So every time you went past, calling out your time of what you were on, as they do in races. But at the finish line, on the scoring hut, there was also a digital timing clock. So you could see your time as you went over the finish line each time as well. So like every 200 meters, I was seeing what my time was, so I could clock whether I was still on pace or whatever. And
so for example, you knew if I'm at 3 minutes 33 after 1 kilometer, or if I'm at I'm on pace, whatever it was. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So when I went through the mile, so when I went through 4 laps, I was 8 seconds below where I needed to be. So I was like, okay, this is all right. I just need to hold this now.
What faster you mean, or slower?
So I had 8 seconds in the bank basically.
Yeah. Right.
So I could, if I dropped off a little bit in the next 3 laps, I could possibly kick it down in that last half a lap and still come in. But if I show you my laps, this makes me chuckle because, right, I'm going to try and hide my first lap so you can see it. But I keep on tapping my screen.
I've just seen it.
You've seen it. So as you can see, all of my laps were pretty consistent apart from that first lap. So when I set off, I had in my head, because I know that a 10-minute 3K or 3,000 meters, as it's known on the track, for 10 minutes you need 80 seconds a lap. So I had in my head, right, go out, try and hit 79.80 per lap, and then kick it down in that last lap to try and get under that 10 minutes again. We went through the first lap and he called out and he went 72, and I went, oh. So I went out 8 seconds faster. So when I hit the mile, that's why I was 8 seconds underneath, because that first lap I'd got 8 seconds basically in the bank. And then all of my laps were pretty consistent up until that last lap, and I think I ran the last lap in a 74. So I did drop off a couple of them, and they went over 80 seconds. Like a couple were 82 and stuff like that. But so I managed to kick down in that last lap and crossed the finish line and thought, I think I've done it, but I'll wait until the official results come out. And then none of the official results were put up on the boards. like they normally are. They're normally printed out and put up on the boards, and they weren't put up for most of the day. And we were like, this is a bit odd. So we went over to one of the officials and said, do you know where all the results are? And they went, oh yeah, the printer broke, so we couldn't print out any of the results. So none of us knew our results like on the day. But they eventually got sent out, and my official finish time was 9:57.01. So
yes,
yeah, 2.5 second PB. So
that's
yeah,
massive.
very happy about that. Which means that I ran at a pace of 3:19 a K, which
so
yeah,
you're
I'm well happy with.
That just solidifies to me that going off too fast is okay.
Yeah.
Because if you hadn't, you might not have. Well, you very well might not have done
exactly
what you needed to do. So it's obviously within reason, isn't it? You probably couldn't have ran 3 laps at that pace and thought,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I could, because then you probably could have been in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think if you are going to go off too fast, you've got to just be aware of when that adrenaline is taking over.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
think, okay, I need to just chill out now. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I hit 400 meters and he called like 1 minute, what's 70, 1 minute 12, I was like, okay, I've gone off way too quick here. So in my head, I instantly went, right, steady up and get back into the pace that you should be running. And on my laps, my second lap was an 81. So I instantly, as soon as I heard that, went, right, I need to get back to what my 3K pace is. And I ran an 81, an 80, an 81, an 82, an 82, an 80, and then a 37 for the last 200.
Nice. That's really, really impressive. So was it a case of you chasing, or were you being chased? Were there many?
So
many
this
people
is the thing.
in the,
if I was in the
race?
A race, I would have probably been about 5th because there was some really quick guys in there, so I would have had people to chase. But because I was in the B race, I came 2nd, but the bloke who won it came in at 9:17. So he was 40 seconds ahead of me. So he was like 200 meters in front of me.
So he's definitely in the wrong race then.
Yeah, and then the guy behind me, I think he ran a 10:20 something. So he was like 30 seconds behind me. So it was quite a spread out race.
Yeah. So you were on your own for a hell of a long time.
So it was basically a time trial. But
because I asked you that last week at Parkrun, what would you think would get better results in your track racing? Chasing or being chased? What do you think? Have you got an answer to that, or is it?
I think I'd prefer to chase and using people to pull me along, because whenever you've got people on your shoulder pulling along from you, you always feel that drag.
You feel the weight.
There isn't any drag, but you always feel it, that you've constantly got someone on your shoulder. But
they make you nervous, don't they?
Yeah. But when you're the one chasing, you can just feel the pace off that person in front.
Yeah, and especially if you start hyper-analyze it, like, are you a heavy breather? Because when you're racing, are you? Because I'm so loud. Like, obviously, people can hear me from blooming, the next parkrun down the road, let alone if I'm coming up behind them. Like, I can't stealthily, come up behind someone incognito. I think, like, what I'm trying to say is, sometimes if you're finding that someone's breathing, if you're working really hard and someone next to you is running the same speed, but they look like they're just out for a little Sunday morning stroll to get the paper, that doesn't do you any good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No.
So yeah, sometimes I imagine if you're in the lead of people, you're working just maybe that little bit harder, maybe, I don't know. So maybe the mental thing starts to come into, but do you think, I know you can never know the answer to this, but had you raced in that A race, do you think you could have gone a second or more faster?
Possibly. I don't know. Probably, because I'd have been more prepared to race rather than having to wait 15 minutes.
Did it feel well? Yeah. Did it feel more like a time trial than a race?
It did, but it did feel like a race because of the situation and what was going on. But the fact it spread out so quickly, yeah, it started to feel a bit more like a time trial. And because there was the over 60s in the race as well, we were lapping them quite a bit. So I think I lapped a couple of the guys a couple of times and stuff. So yeah, it was definitely a race because of the situation. But as soon as it spread out, it was just a case of, right, just try and keep this pace now and just run your own race.
So what's the etiquette then in a race? Let's say if you're someone like me, for example, that's in a race, a fast race, and you're not the fastest. Let's say you're in the middle of the pack or the back.
Yeah.
Do you settle into lane 2 then and let people pass you on the inside?
No, everybody's racing.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to come round you, it's their responsibility to go round you.
Oh, okay. So
there are some people who feel more comfortable moving out so the faster people can come through on the inside. There are those type of people, but really, you're all racing, you're all working your hardest, and
you're all entitled to be in lane 1.
You're entitled to be in lane 1. So if somebody wants to come round you, it's their responsibility to go round you. So I always go round people in like the edge of lane 1 or into lane 2 to go round people, because it's up to me. I'm going round them. They're not there to let me through.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of respect for someone at track the other day. There was a lady who was in one of her effort reps, but she wasn't moving as quickly as, say, the people that were coming up behind her. For example, the really fast kids were coming up behind her as a pack, probably moving at about 9-minute 3K pace. And she was doing her rep, but she was like, "No, I'm in lane 1. I'm doing my rep. You have to go around me." And I was like, "Oh, fair play."
But that's how it is. That's track etiquette. And the faster guys know that. They know that everybody's got the same right to be on that track. So you can't expect people to move out the way for you.
Did I tell you I got lane 1'd at track on my first or second night there? I was doing my rep. Yeah. Someone was coming up quite quickly behind me and they just shouted lane 1 at me.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of moved to my right and let them through.
See,
they did say thanks.
Yeah.
But I just
but that's a bit shitty if you were in the middle. Were you in the middle of a rep?
Yeah. I wasn't running easy.
So you were running an effort. To me, that's a little bit shitty to do that.
Yeah.
If somebody's walking or just standing in lane 1, then yes, by all means, I shout out track quite a lot because people finish their reps and then just slow down in lane 1. Whereas track etiquette is when you finish your rep, you peel off to the right or peel off to the inside of the track.
Absolutely.
As soon as you finish your rep, so you can slow down away from lane 1. But some people slow down in lane 1, or they're not really paying attention and they're just walking in lane 1. So shout track and they'll move out the way then. But if somebody's doing a rep, it's your responsibility to go around them. Yeah. They're putting in just as much effort as you. So you can't expect them to suddenly if you wouldn't want somebody to shout to move out the way whilst you're at full pelt putting in effort, then you shouldn't expect someone else to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So no, just stick your ground. If somebody wants to go around you, they have to go around you.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Yeah, because I'm still learning all this, so I'm still not really knowing what the actual etiquette is, and I don't want to be
like when you're doing your recovery laps and stuff. So when you're doing a 400 jog, go out into lane 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Jog it. But when you're doing your rep, definitely just stick in lane 1. It's up to them to go around you.
Yep. All right. Yeah. I'll remember 58 minutes into episode 32 or whatever we're at, and I'll play that to them next time they lane 1 me.
Yeah. If they want to have a go at someone, tell them to come and have a word with me. And I'll go, oh, don't talk to me, please. No. Yeah. I just think track etiquette is something that you learn after being on there for quite a bit, but it is faster people's responsibility to be conscious and respectful of other people. That other people are putting in just as much effort. Just because you're faster doesn't mean that you automatically get lane one.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of that sometimes at certain parkruns as well, isn't there? When there's lap courses, some people behave like absolute dicks, don't they? To like try and move people out the way, or
I mean, on Parkrun, I always just shout up ahead. I just go on your left. I don't go move out the way or anything. I just let people know I'm going to come round them on the left, and if they want to move to the right so I can come through, that's cool. If they don't, I'm going to run off the path. But I just want to make them aware that somebody's going to come round them in a second.
I always have that when I'm running on the canals around here in Worcester. I always go, I'm coming round on your right, and they move to their right. I'm like, no, you're going to run in the canal. What are you doing? You stay left. I'll pass on the right. And it's normally older people who sort of get a bit flustered and and they just sort of panic a little bit. But what I've been trying to do as well is give them as much notice as possible, because there's probably nothing worse than someone shouting at you from 2 foot away. Because that does. I'm sure we've all had that as runners. The amount of people that we've probably petrified because of shouting at them, saying, "Excuse me, sorry."
Or not shouting at all, and you just appear next to them, and they go, "Ah!" The ones you've got to watch out for, though, are the ones where you shout on your left, and they suddenly go like that to try and work which side is their left. Which one's an L? That was fine.
Yeah. So you got the PB in the bag then? Officially.
So well happy, and I have officially said goodbye to the track for the year. I actually changed, because on my Strava I put I'm just waiting for official results, but I've actually changed it now to say what the time was, and I've put see you next year, you injury producing oval of pain.
Oval of pain.
So hopefully my glute can repair, because I won't be constantly turning left in all of my runs now. I'll actually be doing a bit of both ways.
Have you had a final thought about nationals? Definitely a no.
Oh yeah, I didn't enter in time. I didn't enter in time, and I don't want to. I was very tempted just to enter, just to say I was there on the year that it ran in September rather than February. Yeah, because it's going to be one of those that people always go, oh, remember when it was? And I was so tempted to enter just for that. But secondly, I then thought about it and thought the ground's going to be really hard, really potholey, really rutty. And I know whenever I run off road, when it's like that and the ground doesn't move because it's rock hard, I'm gonna break my ankle or something. And I didn't tell you about this, did I? Last week. So last week, not Tuesday just gone, but the Tuesday before, on our app for like our sessions, Andy, our coach, put we're on the grass for this session. So we're going to do a grass session. And I read that, and in my head I went, I'm not doing that, because the grass is going to be really tough underfoot. Yeah. And I'm going to roll my ankle. I've got glass ankles as it is. I'm going to roll my ankle. When it's wet and muddy and you're doing cross country, the ground moves and it's fine. But when it's rock hard, it's your ankle that moves, not the ground. So I thought, I'm not going down. But a load of people went down. They all did their warm up. First effort, Andy, our coach, his foot goes down a pothole and he breaks his ankle. So he's now in a splint boot.
Oh.
So in my head, I instantly went, I'm not going down because I'm going to do my ankle. And Andy, our coach, did his ankle on that exact session. So that's made my decision of not going and doing national cross country even better in my head. So yeah,
that's like Desmond from Lost sort of stuff.
Yeah,
finished it the other day, by the way. Yesterday.
All 7 seasons.
Yeah, well, not for the first time. I've probably got to the end, but this is the first time I've got to the end of Lost and actually really concentrated.
Yeah.
Also cheated a little bit and went on the equivalent of like Spark Notes. I don't know if you ever remember them from school days, where they'd give you like a synopsis of what Lord of the Flies is actually about, because you realise you haven't it, or whatever you read at school. What was the one with Lenny and Of Mice and Men? Yeah,
what a great book that is.
That is good. That is great,
and a great film.
Curly's Wife. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. John Malkovich, Gary Sinise, isn't it?
Yeah, John Malkovich is so good in that film.
Yeah, that is a really good film. Yeah, but I looked at the someone explaining Lost, and everything does tie in once you put all the pieces together.
Yeah,
and it is quite a clever piece of TV.
People always moan and say how awful the end of Lost is, but it was so good, and I 100% believe that everybody that thinks the end of Lost was bad doesn't understand the end of Lost. They don't actually understand it.
Yeah, because the classic is, well, no, I won't say it. Just think, well, the classic is they were dead the whole time, but that's not. Well, it may or may not be the answer, but it's not.
No, it's 100% not the answer. No, it's way more involved than that. And everything that happened on the island happened on the island.
Yeah.
So
got, Daniel Faraday vibes. You actually look a little bit like Daniel Faraday. He's a bit of a legend, though, isn't he? Danny Fazza. I quite like him. But anyway, what we talk about Lost for? I can't remember. I said Desmond, because you predicted the ankle break. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bad then. So how long is that? Is that about a 2 month, 8 week?
He hasn't
injury?
Properly broken it. He's loosened one of the small bones on his ankle. So they've said, I think he's got 6 to 8 weeks in the splint boot, but they've said quite a few months before he can actually run. So
yeah.
But I feel his pain because I tore my ligaments in my ankle, didn't I? I was in a splint boot for weeks, and it was horrendous. So
I've done my ligaments. It's horrible. Ligament. I think actually that is one of the only exceptions. That one of the only ways a break is better with the ankle, isn't it? You'd rather break your ankle than do ligaments, because I think ligaments will be a longer. I think it's similar with your knee, isn't it? If you do your knee ligaments, you can be in a really bad way. So, hope is it Andy? Hope he has a speedy recovery and he gets back to old ways soon. So
so he's been down at the track doing the coaching, wearing a splint boot, hobbling around the track, calling out at people. But yesterday was the last track session of the year, and we're now back out on the roads. And last year he was injured when we went back out on the roads, but he could cycle, so he was cycling alongside of us. But he can't do that now because he's in this splint boot. So other people are going to have to lead the road sessions and the road runs, or he's going to have to get a lift to wherever we're doing the session, and then
he'll be driving. I'm sure he'll be there.
Yeah,
he'll be on a golf buggy or something. He'll make he'll find a way to do it. On a one wheel. Cool. Well, should we've kept everyone waiting about the Bushy extravaganza.
Let's talk about Bushy.
Yeah. So last Saturday, me and some of the reprobates from Worcester, we all went down to do the 1000th edition of the Bushy Parkrun, and for me, it lived up to the hype. I thought it was. I knew it was going to be good, and sometimes probably a bit like Oasis tickets. You think, oh, it's going to be good, and you end up coming away feeling a bit disappointed. But this was good. This was really good, and I'm really glad we did it the way we did it. If you know what I mean, if that makes sense. So me, you, and Beardy Rich, we went down, didn't we? I drove down, and we got down early doors. We parked outside Henry VIII's gaff, and we got down there fairly event free, didn't we? We set up about 10 past, 5:15. And we got down there for about quarter to 8, was it? Something like that. So we got down there, and that was fairly. And as soon as we pulled up, who did we see? K-Dog. Kieran Turner, who, by the way, has texted me today saying he's bought another pair of Mizunos.
Really?
The same pair.
A new pair of Wave Rebellion Pros?
But he's bought the Battleship colorway. You know that you were telling me about the black and white one.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, he's bought the camouflage one. But anyway, so I was like, is that Kieran? Because we'd never actually met in person. And yeah,
he parked two spaces down from where we'd parked.
In the middle of blooming Richmond or wherever we were, in Molesey. So yeah, so we all walked over to Parkrun, and we probably got there quite early. Probably the earliest I've ever got to a Parkrun. Probably got there about 8:15, didn't we? And it already had a feel of a race, didn't it? It felt like being at a big race, because it just had that kind of buzz around the place.
Yeah,
you could see people warming up, the people in fancy dress, people queuing for a selfie. Yeah, there was a backdrop. Absolute crazy stuff, wasn't it? And we did a warm up. We did what did we do? About a mile, if that, maybe a bit more.
About a mile and a half, yeah.
And then we stood on the start. Now the start was how you'd expect a parkrun start of 6,000 people to be.
Yeah,
it was a little bit.
We haven't said, actually, have we? There was 6,204 people running. I expected probably 3,000-4,000 at the most, because the most they'd had was 2,500, wasn't it, on Christmas Day 2019?
Yeah.
And I expect about 3,000 or 4,000, but 6,204 people.
Absolute.
It's mental.
Mind blowing. But I looked at the what was it? What article did I read today? It was maybe it was the official parkrun. And there's people that had come from like America. There's running clubs from like the Netherlands, and people have come from all over, let alone the UK. So that's about the 15th time I've dropped my pen, so I'm not going to pick it up because I'm not even writing anything. And yeah, so the start line was not ideal for us, was it, really?
Not really. We were smack bang in the middle on the front row, weren't we?
But what we'd done is we had stood on the start line, or what we thought would be like 2 rows back. Because imagine like a Braveheart scene or like a medieval battlefield with probably 500 people wide, maybe not that, maybe 200 people wide. And obviously it went back quite a bit. But we stood right in the middle. We'd seen the line that we wanted to take because we knew the course, or we knew the first bit. And then we stood there at 10 to 9. And then what happens? It's not like Arrow Valley, is it? Where people walk and they go behind you. People just walked up to the start line and turned round. I was like, right, I'm in position now.
Yeah.
So that was a bit annoying. So we found ourselves about 8 or so rows back, didn't we? And we eventually got off to a start. The guy said, you know, the run director said
You've muted yourself, Andy, somehow. You've muted yourself.
I'm back.
There you are. I'm back. I'm Batman.
I just unplugged my mic. Sorry, I got so excited. And yeah, it was. Hang on, you talk, because I've just got to play with some mic settings.
Oh yeah,
you talk about the start.
I think you've gone onto your laptop mic.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So yeah, so we set off, and it was like the scene in is it Braveheart? Yeah, with Mel Gibson, or in Lord of the Rings, where they all charge into battle. And it was crazy. And I think the start line across was probably 200-300 people wide, the start line, and we were all aiming for a bit of road that could probably fit 10-15 people across.
Well,
so
it was like
in big time.
It was like a 10-foot wide path, wasn't it? So what we found ourselves doing was running on I found myself running on the grass for about the first 3 minutes, which is probably 800 meters or so, 600, 700 meters, which is not ideal. But luckily, it was firm, but as Andy from your club found out, it could have ended up in tears, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But just to give everyone a bit of context as well. So you'd said to me the night before, basically, it's sub 20, or what are we even doing? So that's what you said. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just follow me. You'll be fine. Yeah. Well, you didn't say you'll be fine. You just said, just follow me. So you shot off like a crazy man, because for obvious reasons, we wanted to get ahead, and we'd found ourselves already quite far behind. And as you can imagine, like when I've got some footage of it, when we go, not everyone goes at the same pace. And like some people are at the front. It's going to sound like I'm having a go at people, but I'm not. But some people were at like 45-minute parkrun pace, but they're stood on the front row.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like, oh, okay. So there was a little bit of navigating to find jostling for position, wasn't there? But yeah, we eventually got on that path. And do you want to talk through the mile splits? Because I don't have my kilometer splits.
So, but what I will say though is the first bit. So we set off pretty quick, and I obviously, when we got to the bit where it funneled in, I turned round and you were nowhere to be seen. I was like, "Oh, this is great. I don't know where Andy is." So I went all the way to the left as far as I could go, and then just spent the next minute running, looking to my right, looking over my shoulder, basically running backwards to try and find you. Eventually, I spotted you, Rich, and Kieran all together, and then pulled back in so you could stick on behind me. But that was it. That was an interesting start. Because there was trees and all sorts to navigate, and I was having to look behind and then look and try and see things to dodge out the way of, and all sorts. Yeah, it was good.
Well, I was quite fortunate as well, because I was with Rich and Kieran, and they're sort of 20. Well, Kieran is around about a 20-minute 5K, and
although he never broke 20 minutes, had he, before?
Not in a parkrun, no. I think he'd done it in training, but like not in a timed event like this. And he and Richard said, right, I'll pace 20 as well, which is a good thing, because obviously I lost you straight away. So at least I had Rich. But then we met you, I don't know, a kilometer in. And by now it is frantic, isn't it? It's still frantic, because I was in a pack of 1,000 people. It's probably the best way to explain it. Everyone's running pretty much the same pace. A lot of people are still, going past you, and you're going past others, and you're all trying to fight for that little bit of gravel. But I got onto the gravel fairly quickly. Well, as quickly as I could after 3 minutes, because it was either run on the gravel and slow down, or keep your line, stay on the grass, and try and get out a little bit further. So we timed it well. We found a gap, Rich and I and Kieran, and then we got on the gravel, and then we pretty much stayed there.
I think I managed to find you before we took that first big left-hander, didn't I?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
because down that first bit,
that was my first kilometer split, and I clocked a 3:59, and I remember thinking, this is going to be a long day at the office, but it could be on today, because by then I was feeling okay.
Yeah,
compared to normal 5K attempts. So then I don't know what it was like when we got to the first mile split. What did we need? 6:25.
When we hit the first mile, I can remember shouting out to you and saying, "This is perfect, Andy. That's exactly where we need to be. You have just run a 6:25 for the first mile, and we needed 6:27s to run a 20-minute, or a 6:26s to run under 20s."
So it's about 1957 pace, isn't it? 6:27, something like that. 6:25.
Yeah. So we ran 6:25.
And I kept noticing. So this is I'm sure this will probably happen again, probably as long as I ever know you in my life. You'll always seem to pace me. But what I need to learn is, if you're going to pace me at these events that are busy, I literally need to stick to you like glue, because what I kept finding was I kept boxing myself in, because I'd let you get like a safe distance away from me. And then I'd think, right, okay, I've got 6 foot, no one in front of me. Then someone would just jump in front of me. You know, it's like keep apart 2 chevrons on the M42. No one ever does. No one ever does. I'll keep apart a quarter of a chevron if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So it's like if someone's pacing you, you've got to stick on them, haven't you? Because I kept getting myself into these little boxes. At one point, I was boxed in by like 3 people, a bloke and his dog, and I was like, how am I going to get out of this? Then I see Rich sort of gliding off into the distance and Kieran. I'm thinking, oh God, because when that happens, you have to surge. And you don't want to be doing that. Well, I don't anyway. I'd much rather have a smooth ride the whole time. If I'm going to surge, I want to leave that for the last 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got through that first mile, like you say, and then the second kilometre split came up, and I noticed my watch say 4:04, so we'd slowed down a touch. And by now as well, it's probably worth mentioning that everyone is pretty much on the path by now.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, the terrain was like hard packed gravel, but it was almost like the consistency of sand, dust. It was like a dirt track, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like this sort of beigey color, and there was so much dust in the air that because, like I was saying earlier, I was like little asthmatic me. I was breathing in all this dust.
It was like running through fog at some bits, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And then what's coming up next? So I guess the second mile.
Yes.
What's that, about 3K?
Yes. Well, 3K is 1.86 miles, something like that. So 2 mile is just over 3K.
I'm pretty sure I managed to clock something beginning with a 3 again. I'm pretty sure we went back to 3:59 for that third kilometre.
So for our second mile, we hit a 6:28.
Right. So that's what, 3 seconds slower than the first mile?
Yes. But we were still on because you run a 6:25 the first time. So if you average those out, you were on 6:26 pace. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So still bang on pace.
Yeah.
And my here we go. So my third kilometre split, I got 3:59, 4:04, 3:59.9. So basically a 4 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the fourth kilometre. Now, when we got to the 4th K, my heart sank a little bit because we were back. We had about a good stretch of grass, didn't we? A good kilometre on the grass.
Yeah.
Again, I'm making excuses because it was hard grass and it was basically really finely cut grass. So it was basically tarmac. If anything, it might have been easier than the stuff we'd been running on, than the grit. But it was just you felt a little bit unsteady on your feet. And at the end of the 4th K, I clocked a 4:07. So it was at this point I was starting to hang back. And I noticed out the corner of my eye, Kieran started to press on. And I made a conscious effort to try and keep up with him and Rich. But they just, to their credit, they kept on 20-minute pace. Yeah. And you had started to drift a little bit as well. And I was thinking, oh, God, here we go. Same old story. 3/4 of the way through, 4th kilometre. And then, I see 4:07 and I think game's over. But that was my slowest kilometre of the day. And usually that's my fastest. So heading into the 5th K, you said the immortal words of, well, I ain't slowing down, mate. You've got to catch me up. I was like, yeah, brilliant. I was like, you could have been nice to me and we'll just take a 20:10 or a 20:20 today. But no.
That ain't happening.
So then I had to throw in a bit of a surge to try and catch you, which I think I did. And my 5th kilometre, what was the 3rd mile split, by the way?
So 3rd mile split was a 6:31.
So we had slowed down a little bit more. Yeah, okay.
Slightly.
But when I crossed the line, I eventually crossed the line for the 5th kilometre. And when I do eventually get around to putting the video out, you'll see how much I was getting overtaken. And I was very conscious of this from about 4K onwards. I don't think I overtook a single person. Everyone seemed to overtake me. And everyone was really running hard as well. And I was trying to just match people's cadence and their speeds for 5 or 10 seconds. That's all I could do. And I had to just let them go. And then, do you remember going over the little footbridge? It was like a little left turn. And then I remember thinking, well, my watch is telling me we're nearly there. Like, surely we're near. Well, I couldn't see the finish. And then I heard you saying like 400 to go, 200 to go. And I was like, it can't be. We're nearly there. What? Really? So then I just tried to run as fast as my little legs would carry me. And there was a guy, I vividly remember this, in orange, who I thought I could just do this guy. I could just do him. All we need to throw in is a sprint. And I just couldn't sprint. I just couldn't. And he was staying the same distance away from me. It was only 4 foot in front of me, but I couldn't overtake him. I really wanted to. And my watch bleeped at me saying we'd done a 3:53. So fastest kilometer of the day, which is like.
So the last 0.1 of a mile, you did in 37 seconds, which is 6:01 pace.
Yeah. So that's like 1920 or 1930 5K pace, isn't it? So I was quite pleased to, for the first time, what seemed like ever, managed to have a little bit of a kick in me.
19-minute 5K pace is 6:07s.
Oh, okay. Right. That makes me feel better. So I managed to, I know it was only 100 meters or whatever you said it was, if that, but I managed to just find something to get over the line. And both of our watches synced up.
Yeah.
We crossed,
so I turned round and stopped my watch when you crossed the line.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. So because I crossed the line before you. And I turned round to see you cross the line, then stop my watch. And both our watches got exactly the same time.
Yeah, which was 20 minutes and 4 seconds. So
close.
So close. And
1 second a kilometer.
Don't, because that is ridiculous. That's like the difference of like a head turn, isn't it? Or a breath in or something. It's just 1 second per kilometer. So close. The fastest that I've ever ran. 30-something second PB. And I'm turning into Jakob Ingebrigtsen, aren't I? I can only do it when I'm paced. I can't do it when I'm on my own, when it really matters. But yeah, absolutely buzzing with the result. I know it's not quite the sub 20, and it's good to give yourself these big milestone targets, but I'm pretty much there or thereabouts, really.
Yeah, mate, you ran it so well. I'm so pleased with how you run, because I could tell it was hard work, but I wasn't going to let you off lightly, because you were putting the effort in, and I thought I'm just going to let him carry on keeping that effort up. So I'm not slowing down for you. I'm going to make you chase me. And but our official parkrun time. Now, this is the thing. So when I crossed the line, I then turned round to watch you cross the line.
Yeah.
And 3 people went past me into the funnel. So 3 people sneakily got a faster time than they actually got, because 3 people in front got my time. But anyway, because we then stuck together and walked through the funnel, and our official time was 20 minutes and 2 seconds.
So we both got the same time, because I got 20:02 as well.
Yeah. So we both got exactly the same time. But 3 places in front of me was 20 minutes on the dot. So
but
so my pacing for 20 minutes wasn't bad.
Oh no, your pacing was bang on. I know I could feel you slowing down a bit as well, because you were what you trying to G me on. But I think it's fair to say that your watch time or your stopwatch time was probably the best way to measure that.
Yeah.
Because parkrun time, you've got to take it any other day of the week. But when there's 6,000 of you crossing the line, there's going to be human error. There's going to be so I think the stopwatch was the only thing that really mattered, which is I pressed the line, I pressed go on my watch the second we ran, and then stopped it on the line as well. So one of those things. And I reckon, like you said, and we all sort of said this, if we all come back to Bushy tomorrow, we probably get that sub 20, because we spend less time faffing and running on paths and
without that many people around us. Because how many times did you have to check your stride because you were going to hit the person in front of you?
Yeah.
So without any of that, you're going to run way better. So you've got that second a kilometre just there.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just for me. It's all about, I'm going to miss this when I finally drop under 20, because I'm going to miss the thrill of the chase. Like, it's exciting standing on that start line thinking, come on, today's the day. Come on.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a little bit dejecting when you miss out by a few seconds, but at the end of the day, you can go again next week, can't you? And have another go another time. And you've got to be patient with 5Ks, haven't you? And I've noticed that I think, well, it must be the track stuff, I think, came into its own last week.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's when I really, really noticed it.
Definitely.
So yeah, feel really good. Amazing. I'm really, really pleased to have got the massive PB. Yeah. And once again, you paced me to a massive, massive PB. You always say, every time you've paced me, you've got me a PB. So the streak continues. Well done.
But it's not down to me, mate. You're the one running. You're the one putting in the effort, and you ran that superbly. To be able to run like you did, surrounded by that many people in such a tight block of people.
Yeah.
And as you say, people constantly crossing in front of you and all sorts, and overtaking and all. Yeah. The fact that you managed to keep your head in all of that whilst running at full pelt and hitting, well, basically running the red line for 5K. Yeah, mate, mega proud of how you ran it.
Nice one, man. I've just got the big test for me now is going to be Worcester, because I'm going to be going for a PB on a week Sunday without you holding my hand.
Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be pacing you at that one. Sorry, mate.
No, because you'll be doing your own thing. But I'm confident that I can get the job done. I know what I've got to do.
Yes.
And I've just got to go out there and do it now. And I know that when the dark times come, when I'm running over the Diglis Bridge at 12 mile, I know that I need to dig in there, because I've been down that road before. I've got to just take the experience from last year. The only thing is that it won't be you in front of me. It'll be somebody else to chase.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't wait for that challenge.
So what is the target at Worcester off?
1:35:44, 1 second PB or below. I'll take. Because again, I've done no half marathon specific training. I've just done this slightly faster stuff over the last 6 weeks. But I feel like I'm finally free of the COVID shackles from the summer. I've got the ultras out of my body now. So yeah, I just feel like there's no reason for me not to go and run well. Hopefully Sunday, Great North is good training for me as well. So yeah, realistically, I would love to be closer to 1:30. But I think I've got to be realistic and just try for a 1:35 low. That's what I'd really like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, they say what's the calculation for your marathon time? Your marathon time is something like double your half marathon and then add 7 or 8 minutes. So if you take a 1:35, double it and add 8 minutes, you're at you're at 3:18.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's me running at capacity. That's me running at maximum.
Yeah. So 1:36 is probably where you should be for a half to run a 3:20 marathon.
Okay. So hopefully I can carry on. But obviously this is all ideal world stuff, isn't it? Marathons take a lot of fuel in, and a lot of tactics go into marathons. A lot of stuff can go wrong compared to a half marathon and below. But yeah, very much looking forward to Worcester, which is a week Sunday. And yeah, can't wait to see what happens. But
but I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna give it a good crack, but let's see whether my glute allows me to run at the pace I want to.
Well, yeah, because the last time you ran at that intensity, would that have been Birmingham or Droitwich?
Droitwich. Yeah, and that's when the issues came on after Droitwich. Trying to run stupid pace on a hilly course.
Well, at least Worcester's not hilly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess that's a decision you've got to make, because you might know.
Well, Yeah, I said to somebody the other day, they were like, "Oh, so do you reckon you're going to be all right at Worcester?" And I went, I don't know. We'll see. It depends. But I'm going to go out at PB pace because I know I will.
Yeah.
It don't matter whether I hobble around half of it or not. I know I'll run that first mile at PB pace.
Yeah. And sometimes when you start to run hard, weirdly, the pain goes. I don't know if you find that. I mean, I know you were saying that it was only last week that you were doing, what was it? You did your first rep and you could barely walk.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always follow that trend. But sometimes when your form is good and you've got fresh legs, you actually think, oh, I actually feel quite good. So yeah.
Fingers crossed. But yeah. So what have you got next on the agenda?
Well, I was going to say, have we got time to quickly talk through our weeks of training?
Yes. Yeah. Go for it. Yeah. Go for you.
Well, after Saturday, then it's worth mentioning, like Brett said earlier, we did. Kieran and I had just done this 20 minutes. Basically, died at the end of it. Rich and Brett had done their 20 minutes, and were basically like, "Yeah, let's just do something else that's equally mental." So Kieran and I just went and did a easy 3K, just like ploddy pace, just to cool down. I needed to get some extra Ks in because of my volume and stuff. And then we caught up with, Rich and Brett caught up with us, and Brett's like, I've got a race tomorrow. I'm going to do some reps. And I don't think you even invited us to join in, but I think we both said, oh yeah, we'll see if we can join in. That was a terrible idea. Absolutely ridiculously bad idea, because I've even got you on camera saying, it might not have been this rep actually, but I've got you on camera saying, right, I'm going to go out at 3K 10-minute pace, and they're the reps I'm going to do. And then I looked at my Garmin data, and my best pace was 2:25 per kilometer, which fair enough, I might have only held for a handful of seconds. But that is faster than world record marathon pace. I think that might have been the fastest my Garmin's ever recorded me running. And I'd just done a sub 20. Well, not quite a sub 20 attempt.
That was that. So I did some 200-meter efforts, and when you said, "Oh, we'll join in," I went, "All right, then let's do a shorter effort." and I thought, I'm going to go out a little bit quicker here and just see if they hold on. So we did 100 meters, and where are we?
Was it only 100 meters? It felt like a kilometer.
We did 100 meters, so 0.07 of a mile, so about 100 meters. And we ran that in 20 seconds. So that was 4:26 a mile pace.
That's fast, isn't it? Well, fast for me. Crazy fast. And that's it, by the way, that's a 20-second 100 meters. That's another thing we've got to mention as well. Mondo as well. Mondo and Castamora.
Yes.
But so yeah, how many reps did I've got? 3. There's 3 spikes in my graph, so I tried to join in for 3 of them.
Me and Rich went and did 4 200-meter reps, then went and found you and did a bit of a jog with you, and then you said, "Oh, let's see if we can keep up." Did that 100 meters, and then we jogged another little bit, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to do a couple more," and you went, "Oh, we'll let you go off with that," and I was like, "No, come on, I'll actually run." I'll actually run 10-minute 3K pace now. And we did another couple of 200-meter efforts.
That was hard. Look at my graph. So sorry if you're listening to this, but if I can find it, I've got like a pace graph of my cool down. Look at that. See my 3 spikes at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, best pace 2:25. So anyway, we got home, and then that was Saturday all done and dusted. And then I knew I needed to finish off my week of volume with a long run. So went out on my Todd on Sunday and just did a really ploddy 25K, which is 15 miles into Worcester and back, which was nice, to be fair. It was really nice until about 10 miles in. And then I remembered I'd done a hard 5K yesterday. Because again, this is another thing I'm learning about myself. I always don't give 5K efforts enough, enough credit really, because they are, I know they're only 5 kilometers, 3 miles, but when your body's moving really at a high intensity, it takes its toll the day after.
Yeah, it's a hard effort.
So no wonder I just didn't feel very powerful at all on that Sunday. So my heart rate was going up at the end, and I was slowing down a bit, but I managed to get 25K in. So for the week, that put me on 75.
Oh, nice. So
75K for the week, that did.
So you're gradually going up 5K a week.
Yeah, so 65, started 65, 70, 75 last week. It's going to be 80 this week. So that was that was Sunday, and then Monday I did a little recovery run, and I went for a 12.5 kilometer run, so it's about 7 mile. That was relatively. I've got a 5:30 average pace here, so fairly steady rather than ploddy, that one. And then it was Wednesday. So Wednesday's my double day. So Wednesday I did an easy run with Daisy, and then at the evening I did my track session. Now the track session this week was, bear with me 1 second, I can't remember what it was. So track session
600s and 400s, isn't it?
That's it. 3 times 600, zone 5, with 200-meter jog recoveries. And then on the third one, there was a 2-minute recovery, a longer recovery. As many sets as you can do. No, not as many sets as you can do. It's between 3 and 5 sets. And normally I'd do the maximum set. But no, it's 3 or 4 sets. And today, on Wednesday, I thought, no, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead, and I'm just going to do 3 sets. So that was my tidy little graph.
Nice.
So I was quite pleased with that. I did best pace, which I shouldn't really pay too much attention to this, which is 3:36. So that wasn't hanging around pace. That was fairly quick. And yeah, I did my my laps as follows, if you don't mind me just quickly reading them out. So I did a 600 in 2:27, second 600, 2:28, third 200, 2:31. Second set, first 200, 2:29, 2:26, 2:30. And then my third set, I did 2:28, 2:30, and 2:30, 2:28, and 2:30. So quite pleased with them. Looking at my paces, they're all 4 minutes a K. They're all sub 25K pace, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted those 600s to feel hard, to feel quite tough. And what I was really proud of myself for doing was jogging those recoveries. So I'd finish halfway around the track on the back straight. I'd really want to stop, but I'd just jog recover, and I'd get to the start line. And by this time it had been about 90 seconds or something like that. Because I'd taken it nice and easy. The jog recoveries were jogs. They were like 11-minute miles for me. And then I went straight into the next rep, which was really nice. So really proud of myself for getting that done. And then that brings me then rest day Thursday, rest day Tuesday. And then this morning, Daisy and I at 7 o'clock this morning went for a 15K run, which is, what's that, 9 miles, 9.5. And it was, fairly hilly-ish. So about, I don't know, 350 foot, but just over 120 meters or so of elevation. And really pleased. Again, nice and ploddy, nice and easy, because I know what's coming this weekend. I've got a bit of an effort on Sunday. And tomorrow, by the way, I'm going to do a bit of parkrun tourism, because we're going all the way up to accommodation in the northeast. So we thought we'll break it up with an early morning. We're going to set off at 7 o'clock and go up to Derbyshire. And I found a parkrun, which is like a little quiet traily one, but it's all on gravel path, called Sense Valley. I think that's what it's called. Sort of near Ashby de la Zouche, which is incredibly fun to say. Colville, that kind of neck of the woods. So that's the plan. And nice. That's my up until now. I've done about 50K, I think, and I've got to get to 80. So I've got to find 30K. 21 of that is going to be the half marathon. So another 5K. I've got to basically do a 5K top up or 5K cool down after the half marathon, which I'll probably do.
Yeah.
So that'll take me to 50 mile for week 4, deload week next week, and then race PB attempt next week.
Yes.
So yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, this week's been pretty uneventful for me, to be honest. I did my race on Sunday. So I did a warm up and a warm down as part of my race.
Yep.
And then when I got home in the evening, I decided at 10:30 in the evening, because I got home from the race and then went up to my shop because I had a load of work to do. So went and did some work at my shop. And then when I got home from my shop at 10:30 in the evening, I went, I haven't quite done enough mileage for my Sunday, so I'll go out and do a bit of a top up. So I did 10K, but it did it progressive. So went down through the miles, and I did 7:46, 7:27, 7:02, 6:46, 6:29, 6:06, and then the last 0.25 in 5:48 pace.
Nice.
So that was pretty good. So that finished off that week. And then on Monday, as I say, I had a load of work to do. I ran up to my shop at 1 o'clock, got up there. So did 5 mile up to my shop, nice and easy as my start of my recovery run. And normally on a Monday, I run up there, do my work, and then run home in the evening. Yeah. But this Monday, I ran up to my shop, started work, and I finished at 2:15 a.m. I finished work. So where my shop is, there are no street lights at all. It's in the middle of the countryside. So I was like, I don't want to put a head torch on and run at 2:30 in the morning. So so I managed to get a lift back. But that meant I only did 5 mile on the Monday. But I did have to get up on Tuesday morning to get to college because it was the induction for all of the new students.
Oh, so, back to school, isn't it? Yeah.
I was inducting all the students on about 4 hours sleep. So that was interesting on Tuesday. But then I went down to Tuesday session with B&R.
Most importantly, did you wear your new trousers, your new joggers?
No, because they didn't arrive in time. I'll tell you about them in a second. Okay. So, on Tuesday, went down to B&R session, did 2 miles down there, did 2 miles warm up with everyone. And then I was like, I really don't want to do a session today. They're on the track. I'm wasted. Number one, from working hard. Screen printing's like a full body workout because you're constantly using all of your body. So all my arms, my shoulders, my abs, my glutes, my hamstrings were just in bits. So I was like, I'm going to take it easy. So I did 8 miles easy after that. So I ended up with 12 miles for the day. Then did some cross trainer, and I was like, I'm not doing my S&C tonight because I don't want to push it too much. So gave S&C a break on Tuesday. And then Thursday, so yesterday, went down to B&R session, did 2.5 miles down there, and then we did a 7 mile steady with all of the group. But halfway through, there was a nice long steep hill, which caught a few of the people out on the run. And then it was nice and easy back down into back down to the Abbey Stadium. And then I did another few laps of the outside of the track, the wrong way round, on the pavement, and did another 1.5 miles. So I ended up with 11 mile for that. Then did my cross trainer and my S&C, and then did 2.25 miles back. So yeah, it's been pretty uneventful, not really training, just keeping the mileage and getting miles in the legs this week.
Yeah. So what's on the agenda for the weekend?
So tomorrow I'm going down to Parkrun, but Steve from club, his son Kieran has joined recently, and he's aiming for a sub 18-minute parkrun, and that's his big aim for the year. And Steve went, "Oh, Brett, are you going out to Parkrun tomorrow? Do you fancy pacing Kieran to 18 minutes?" And I was like, depends how my hip feels. If it feels okay, then maybe yes. Because pressure starts to come on when the time goes down for pacing, because you've really got to be on it. So we'll see. So tomorrow that, and then just a long run on Sunday. It'll probably be nice and steady Sunday, just get the mileage in.
Yeah, because 18 minutes is, I mean, it's not near your PB, but it's not far away from your PB,
no,
is it?
No, exactly.
It's only a few seconds a mile slower, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 5:47 a mile.
Yeah. Your PB's at like 5:20 something, is it?
No, 5:30 something.
Right. Yeah.
I think.
So yeah, that would be. Yeah, I understand why you'd feel slightly a bit of trepidation about that, because it's quite a big, thing to do. So let us know how you do.
Yeah, will do. Talking about the trousers though from Vinted, I don't know what it is, but the half tights I bought arrived, lovely, beautiful. Really happy with them. But both the singlet I've bought and those joggers, they stink. They're like they haven't been worn for a long time and they've just been left somewhere for ages. So they're in the wash, ready to have a wash before I wear them. I would have washed them anyway, but they just smell a bit stale.
Oh, I know what you mean. They smell a bit air and cupboardy, sort of thing. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably start to make a segment called Vinted Watch or something, or because I've been looking on it a bit today, and I haven't purchased anything, but I can feel myself becoming addicted to this app. It's probably a little bit of a slippery slope. So but so we've got a few. Yeah, I was going to say we've got a few more things, and then we're done.
Yeah, because time. We've
how
I don't know, but we should probably go on to comments and emails. So I'll go through some of the comments from last week's episode. So we had, first one was from Ben CXCI, who said, "Great work, fellas." So thank you for that, Ben. Thank you for listening. Simon Banfield said, "Saw you both in the next funnel along from me this morning." So he must have wrote this on Saturday. "Wanted to ask if Andy got the coveted sub 20, but didn't get the chance to ask. Well done, chaps." So thanks, Simon. Hope you are listening to this week and got the full rundown. But we were so close, but didn't quite get it. But you should have just stopped us and gone, "Oi, Andy, Brett," and said hello.
Did you do it?
But,
yeah. Although at the time, I think I was just making the sounds of like a stegosaurus, wasn't I?
Yes.
I think I was just going, "Oh, I just did not know how to speak anymore. I was just letting these sounds leave my body. The pain of a 5K. So probably a good job I didn't speak to anyone.
Brilliant. Then next comments from Gary Manders, our friend, who says, "You can buy reflective armbands with flashing lights for night country lane runs. Nike all over flash jackets are great. Any light hits you and they reflect it like a lighthouse." Cool. And then LED Lenser and Petzl make great adjustable lightweight head torches. Get one with as many lumens as possible. They will literally turn the night into daylight for you.
Oh, awesome.
Right. And then he also says, "You have a feature called Strava segment." We do, which we will get onto later. "Have either of you made any segments on Strava? Do you find any value in them for training purposes? I have them set up on regular routes of mine, 1 kilometer and 1 mile sections, hill repeats, and shorter sprint sections for putting in efforts in regular places on runs. Have you ever chased Strava segments for the crowns? I personally am a Strava segment obsessive and have made over 500 in my local area. and have littered segments all over Strava at over 20 different park runs, 500 plus segments, and I don't have a single crown on any of them.
I think Gary's written a load of segments on Arrow Valley Parkrun, you know?
Yes, he has.
Some of them are his, yeah.
But I quite like Strava segments and going for those crowns. When you see it come up and say it's a PR on a particular segment, or you've got in the top 10, I think it's great. I love watching it. And sometimes I do look, if it pops up and it says you've come in the top 10 on a segment, I always go to that segment and look at what the crown time is and think, next time I go out, I'm going to see if I can hit that segment a little bit quicker and see if I can get that crown. Yeah. So I do love segments. They are good.
I'd be interested to see how well you do in the It's on Andy segment.
Yes.
Because Mac created one called It's on Andy based on my sprint finish last year from the Worcester race. And that's the one that we all have to do.
From? Does it start from the bridge?
I'm not telling you because I think you're going to beat me if I tell you. It starts about a mile. It starts 2 miles, and it's the last 3 miles of the course.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look at that segment before we go out on that Sunday.
That's that final turn at the top of the bridge, yeah.
But yeah, Gary, I think segments are great. So yeah, keep on making them. I've never made one myself because you have to make them on the computer, don't you? You can't make them on the phone. So, I think so, I've never made one. But yeah, keep littering Redditch with segments, and I will keep an eye out for them.
Yeah.
Then we had a comment from 30-something Mike, who said, "Hiya, I usually listen on Spotify, so wanted to come onto YouTube and say your podcast is excellent, guys. Keep it up. 2 hours is perfect too for the long run. All the best." So
nice one,
thanks
Mike.
for that, Mike. Cheers man. Yeah, this week's probably going to be a bit longer than 2 hours, so you'll have to run a little bit further this time, Mike.
Yeah. So
then here he is, Kieran Turner has put, "Cheers fellas, great pod. Glad I know the plan for Saturday now."
Yeah, so he just basically got told, like I did, how his Saturday was going to go down.
Yeah. Watched half on YouTube, then listened to the rest on Spotify whilst on my recovery run. As my legs screamed at me, I'm blaming Brett's gentle warm down.
Yeah, gentle. It's about as gentle as Nat's massages by the sounds of things.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Sensi Simon put love Vinted. I've had some bargains on there, including a brand new pair of Takumi Sen 9s, which I paid 75 quid for. Bought them after listening to your podcast, and I've PB'd in the 5K and 10K in them. Cheers, guys.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think Sensi Simon is who I met at the Newport Marathon. If it is you, if it isn't you, I'm sorry, but if it is, are you doing Cardiff half? Because I know that's your neck of the woods. If so, see you there.
Yeah. But I will always champion the Takumis. So that is a bargain. 75 quid for a brand new pair. Then Neely Vile or Vil says, timestamps would be great, chaps, on each topic, as these episodes are getting longer and longer each week.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, noted that timestamps would be good, but to put timestamps in would take even longer to edit than it already does. So
we like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to come next.
Yeah, and then the last one comes from Nick PK4SQ, who says, "Thanks so much for reading out my email and the kind words about my run. I've got Manchester Marathon next year as the next big target, aiming for a time that starts with 3:30 something."
Amazing.
So I think that's Nick who did the Roman Road Ultra.
Yeah.
So yeah, best of luck with the training for Manchester next year, Nick. I'm sure you will smash it.
Yeah, best of luck, mate. We had an email today actually came in. And it's a big one, and I think it's well, I won't give it any build up because I think it's just one of those I just need to say, and I think hopefully it'll resonate with a lot of people. Hello, Andy and Brett. I feel very silly writing this email, but I just have an immense feeling to do so. I'm a 47-year-old man with a stunning, beautiful, strong wife, an everything daughter, a courageous foster child, and a lovely but twat of a dog, Polly. Know the feeling, mate. I love my life, but I struggle sometimes, and like most males, I don't talk about it. This is my first time really admitting this. Parts of my life growing up were not pleasant, and losing my mom at 28 have basically made me have feelings and thoughts I wish not to have. And this year, I lost my best friend and dog, Henry, who was 13 years old. I was at the Reading half marathon, and it was the most beautiful and stunning race, and even got the PB, first time in 8 years. But shortly after the race, I got a phone call from my wife to come home fast, as our Henry had had a massive stroke. I had to say goodbye to him over the speakerphone whilst driving on the M25. These events just make it difficult for me as they bring the horrible darkness. There are no winners or losers in mental health, just victims. These victims tend to be my closest people, my family, which makes me feel ashamed of myself and brings on the darkness even more. But I now have something in me to fight the darkness: running. The running community are just the best. Even though I do all my running on my own, I don't feel alone. I feel part of something, a community that's basically, I feel the best in humanity, which brings me on to you both. I love what you do and I love what you stand for. You have helped me in my running for the good. I salute you as you have helped me more than you know, without intentionally knowing it, but your podcast, YouTube videos have been like therapy for me, as you are both the reason why I feel not alone and part of a community. You put so much work into create these with very little or no pay. You're doing this for the love of the community, but I just wanted to tell you that you both are so appreciated. And this day and age where keyboard warriors just want to be negative, I just wanted to let you know how much good that you're both doing without knowing that you're doing it. Thank you so much. Can't wait for the Valencia breaking 320 and the London breaking probably 250. Here's to you, running, and the running community. Stuart. Well, Stuart, what an email. What an amazingly open and honest and brave thing to write to, let's face it, two strangers like us two. I mean, we've never met, but maybe we don't feel like strangers to Stuart. So, but I think that's amazing to say, because I must admit, I don't really open up much about my mental health, really. No. I wouldn't say I struggle as much as a lot of other people that I hear about. You know, I do feel anxious and stuff, especially in terms of, one of my biggest things is I just feel like an imposter like a lot of the time. And I just think, what's the point? And like, yeah, sometimes I get overwhelmed, just find reasons not to do things. And like Stuart says, running seems to, like he says, is the answer to fight the darkness, because it just brings you so many life skills, doesn't it? And it's just that, like, the community aspect alone, it's the happiest I've ever been in my life, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. And
the fact that we just get to just talk about running all the time, we eat, sleep, live, drink, eat, breathe it, like, you know, and it's more than just running, isn't it? It's more than that. It's connection, it's achievement, it's fulfillment, it's so enriching, and it's just phenomenal. And having people like Stuart, who, like he said, is, you know, silently kind of struggles, but has things like our podcast and our videos to feel like he's part of the community. We're just really happy to play a part for anyone that feels like they're struggling, I think.
Yeah, it's that classic thing for men, especially of our age. We grew up in a time when the advice was to just man up. Men don't you don't talk about your feelings. You just get on with it, and you suck it up and carry on like nothing's going on. But it is crazy how little men do really open up about how they're feeling. But running does play a massive part in helping you in your head day to day. I know I've said many a times, running has changed my life. Partly physically, I'm the fittest I've ever been. I'm in the best shape I've ever been. And that makes me happy and better because of it. But also, running makes me a better person. It makes me happier. It makes me want to be around people. And it just generally improves my mood. And I think if everybody within the running community can get that from running, it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. But because everybody in the running community, I think we know that running can give you that opening and that the endorphins it rushes through your body and how it makes you happier. That's what we share together. And because we know how much running makes us happy, we share that happiness together. And that's what brings us together. And it don't matter how fast you run. It don't matter how long you run, how far or whatever. If you run, you are a runner. And you have that connection with that person. And it's amazing how no one cares how fast you are or who you are when you're in a place like Parkrun is the best thing ever. Don't matter how fast you go and run that Parkrun. We had conversations down at Bushy with people who had run, and we were the same people having a conversation about the same things because we all got it and we all understood each other. We go and do this same thing every Saturday morning because we love to do it and we love the people who are doing it with us.
Yeah, we ultimately all get the same thing out of it.
Yeah.
Which is happiness at the end of the day. And yeah, if anyone feels alone or they want to write and, tell us, how they're feeling and how running hopefully is not the answer to their problems, because that's not the way. That's not true, is it?
No.
But how running helps. We would just love to hear from you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
thank you so much for opening up and writing that email, because it means a lot to us that we can put content out there that people can relate to and know that you're not on your own and you are a part of the community. Every single person that runs, you are part of this wonderful community of runners who are all here for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. And especially us blokes.
Yeah.
Of a certain make and model are not as good at it as others. And I think it's time we started sharing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's I know we were going to talk about Mondo and Karsten and the 1500 in the Diamond League, but I think that's a great way to end the pod on a positive. This week we can talk about races next week, but I think that's a really good place to end and sum up what was an amazing email.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. So thanks for your honesty. That's it's amazing.
Quickly, we will just celebrate running with our Strava segment.
The Strava segments, yes, I forgot about that.
So last week's leaderboard gold medalist was Mr. Hollywood himself.
KQ
on the run, Cole Coyne.
What a legend. Wow.
So he ran 82.2 miles last week.
Just showing off.
In second place was Steve Turner with 81.5 miles. And third was Nathan Hampson with 75.3 miles. So great running from all three of you. And our climbing leader was Chris Walker, who climbed 8,027 foot during his week.
8,000 foot?
Yes.
Wow.
Second was Tommy D, who did 6,263.
Of course.
And third was Michael Roderick, Mike Rodders, with 4,003 foot. So great work from you guys.
By the way, Tommy D texted me today saying he just signed up for a race on Sunday that's on 2 days' time. He didn't look what it was about. He just said, yeah, I'll do that. Looks all right. Looks good. It's basically up and down mountains. So it's like a 10-mile race or something like that. And most of the elevations in the first 7 miles, or maybe it's like a half marathon, but all the elevations in the first 7 miles, and it's 2,000 foot in 7 miles. So I just said, nice knowing you, mate.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Oh man.
Good luck, dude.
I do though quickly want to give a special shout out to friend of the pod, Mac Ashworth, who at one point in the week was leading the mileage for the week after his 100-mile run.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 100K, wasn't it? So 62 mile. He ended the week with the longest total running time of 13 hours, 20 minutes and 48 seconds. So excellent work there, Mac.
Yeah, that's why he's a friend of the podcast, I suppose, for epic achievements like that. Can I just finish with this?
Go on then.
I looked for the first time in ages on the podcast stats, and I don't know if they're different to last time, but we've got the UK top of the league. We've got 81% of our listeners from the UK. Second, Ireland, 3.42%. In third place, Australia. Fourth place is America. And fifth place is the Netherlands. Then New Zealand in 6th, and then Norway and Sweden on the same amount of downloads and listens in joint, what's that, 7th on 128. But we've had some new countries listen. Check out some of these new countries.
Cool,
Zimbabwe, Azerbaijan, Chile, Ecuador, the Faroe Islands, Guatemala, Iceland, Macedonia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mauritius, Nepal, Panama, and of course, we've still got our one and only listen from our favourite place, Uzbekistan. They listened to the first episode and never listened again.
Yeah, amazing. That is fantastic.
So, cool,
on that, thank you so much for listening or watching or however you consume this podcast. It really does mean a lot to us. And yes, please do get in touch if you feel like you want to email or comment or send us a message on Instagram, however you want. But thank you so much for listening, and we shall see you next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Wish us luck for the Great North Run, pet. Bike a groove. Bike a groove. Yeah.
Dunnan. I can't see Dunnan.
Uh-huh.